Hey, what is up everyone? Nikkei Canadajin here, and today I'm joined by my good friend Michael, who I interviewed, and he's going to be sharing with you the secrets of how to get on the JET program. So if you're interested in hearing those secrets, then you know what? Go and smash that like button for me right now. Alright, so now let's get on with the interview. Michael, thank you so much for coming on. I always enjoy talking with you, and yeah, so thank you so much.
No problem, Brendan. Thank you for having me again. I really appreciate it, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself first, like where you're from, how long have you been in Japan, and what are you currently doing in Japan, that'd be great.
Sure. So my name is Michael Tung. I am currently a second-year jet. I'm originally from California in the United States. I'm from the California Bay Area, but I've lived in quite a few places. I've lived in Colorado and Alabama as well in the United States, but I've moved around here and there.
Wow.
Uh, but through the JET program, I've lived here since July 2019, and but I've been living in Japan off and on over the past 10 years. But
So I am curious though, kind of like going away from what it's like in your day-to-day working life. What was the process like of actually becoming a jet and going on the jet program? And I want to ask you this first, but what do you
mhm.
think are the three attributes you need to be a jet?
um, I definitely think that a love for teaching is definitely a very very important thing. But not only just a love for teaching, but I think a love for learning. I think
Mm,
that's the main thing. You have to have a love for both teaching and learning. They're both the same. They're both two sides to the same coin. Like you're gonna be learning a lot of things from your students and from the staff around you, and likewise you're gonna be teaching a lot of things to the people around you and your students. Number two, I'd say, is a love for children. You really gotta enjoy being around kids. If you
yeah.
hate being around kids, and eh, like you said too, and like when you have those hard days with some of those students that just they really want to get under your skin, I mean, you're gonna have a hard time.
Oh
But
yeah, that's
if
true.
you can get past that, and those very very select few that are just really 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 like just like, oh, I can't wait to see that student, you're gonna have a great time. But overall, you gotta have a love for the children.
Oh, definitely.
um Number three, I would say, having a sense of fun and wonder. Being able to appreciate every day as is, and being like, all right, this was a really fun activity. I want to do this again. Or,
Yeah.
being able to kind of like see the world through your students' eyes and be like, all right, this is a foreign language. How do I make this fun? Like, what did I enjoy about like one, school, two, learning a foreign language, three, my teachers. So being able to kind of like see things from their eyes one more time and understanding what it's going to be like.
Okay, that I think those are some really great attributes. Yeah, definitely. I think no matter what you do, like you said before, you need to have some kind of passion for what you're doing and some kind of motivation. Because if you don't and you just hate the job, then that's a very easy way to burn out and just start having a negative outlook. But yeah, I think that's definitely a good point for it. And I'm curious though, like when you went through the process to become a jet,
Mhm.
in terms of like for the applications that you have to send off and all the statements that you have to write, is there any kind of advice you can give for that process, for the initial process before the interview?
Yeah, so for the initial process, I would say definitely get all your paperwork in order as soon as possible. Um, One of the things that they do ask is for a criminal background check that does take a little bit of time. Same with some of your tax documents, especially if you're a U.S. citizen.
Mm,
There was some tax documents that do take a little bit long. On top of that, making sure that you get like all your photos taken. You've accumulated all of the paperwork that you need to have, such as like your diplomas, and even just starting on your statement early, I'd say, is the best way, because you're going to be going through so many drafts, and if you only send in your first draft, it's not
yeah.
going to go well. You at least need to go through at least three or four revisions easily. So I would say getting started on that as well too.
Okay. And I'm curious, when you say like you have to create your statement, it's
Mhm.
is that the document which basically states like the reason why you want to work with Jet and why you want to come to Japan?
Yeah, that's pretty much your story. It's like this is your main selling point to Jet, and telling them, this is how, one, Japan has affected me,
Hmm.
and that's why I want to go to Japan, and
Yeah.
two, these are my strong points. This is why you should consider me as a candidate.
Okay, and in that statement, I'm curious for yourself, what kind of advice would you give like people who are wanting to start out on JET?
Hmm.
Like, yeah, what kind of pieces of advice would you want to give? Like, what should they put in that statement that would make them a better candidate?
That's a good question. So I know that a lot of people that do tend to go into JET tend to be right out of college, but if
Yeah.
you do have some work experience, I would treat it as just as any other job interview. And if you don't have any work experience, I'd say treat it the same way you would treat your college application. Talk about your qualifications, why you're a great candidate, and showing why it would be good for you. So from the beginning, I would say that JET considers this application and is looking for an investment. Each one of these
Mhm.
slots they have open up, across the country, I think they're considering who would be the best investment. Um, so they want to know what you bring as a candidate, what unique things do you bring, what experiences can you share with the students. Um, Obviously beyond, I like Japan, I like anime, I like games, I can speak native English. Beyond that, what do you bring to the table? So I think the main things that you should be focusing to put on in that
Yeah.
statement is one, how has Japan and its culture really influenced you and changed you? How will it impact the way that you want to interact and foster your relationships, not only with your students, but the community around you?
Mm.
And number two, how will the experience change you? How do you think you being in Japan will impact one, the way that you're going to live, and two, your career opportunities after JET? What do you plan to do with the opportunity? Are you just going to be going into work in and out the whole time? Are you going to interact with the people around you? What do you want to do within your school? But not only in the school, but like, yeah, what do you plan to do to give back to the community that you're placed in?
Okay, so it's really about what you can offer them as opposed to just talking about yourself. Like you said, like I like anime. I'm a native English speaker.
Yeah,
I
but
think that's a good
I think
point.
that it's a very, very important part too to mention those things, especially if that was your jumping off point into
Mhm.
Japanese culture. Yes, I like anime. Yes, I like video games. But the thing is, you want to talk about how has that evolved into what you're going to be doing with the JET program. Like being like, oh yeah, I wish I could talk to like my students about
Yeah.
this, about American culture or about Japanese culture, and being able to share that experience with them, I think would be very beneficial. Something like that.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for those tips. Really appreciate it. And I know a lot of people will get a lot out of that. So thank you so much.
No problem.
And I'm also curious. So since you made it all the way through the JET process, um, after the application, of course, is the initial interview.
Yeah.
And what was it like for you going through that interview, going through that process?
It was a little bit nerve-wracking. I mean, you were kind of placed in the same room with a lot of the other qualified candidates they called in for an interview. So sometimes for JET, you're going to be called in from like all these different regions. Like for me at the time, I was living in Alabama and I got called into Atlanta, so I had to make a
Oh
2 hour
wow.
drive. So I had that on my mind the whole entire time as I was driving over. But just being confident, being prepared, I think is the most important thing. Uh, and like I mentioned earlier, your statement is going to be one of the big things. So
Mhm.
being able to back up your statement and your application are going to be important. Like they might be asking, why was this mentioned? Why do you think that this is going to make you a good candidate? So being able to back up whatever your qualifications were and backing up your statement are going to be very, very important.
Okay.
Um, Not only that, but I think one of the biggest things that I think that maybe people might not be quite prepared for is be prepared to role play.
What do you mean by role play exactly?
I think that one of the qualities that they really, really looked for is when you are placed in an awkward situation or a situation that you're not familiar with, how will you respond? How will you react?
Mm.
So, for example, one of the role plays that they made me do is, all right, you can speak Japanese. That's great. You have a teacher, and he said, I don't want you to speak any Japanese in the classroom whatsoever. Your students understand zero English. This is your first day. Uh, the teacher says, I have no lesson plan. Go. So they want you to think about what are you going to do in that
Yeah.
situation. When you're placed in that unfamiliar situation, what are you going to do? What is your plan? Like you said, all right, I can plan a lesson for you. What are you gonna do? So being able to respond to that. Also, another part of JET that they ask you is, what regions of Japan that you want to go to. Of course,
Okay.
a lot of people that haven't been to Japan, they always want to go to the big metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I want to go to Kanto. I want to live in Tokyo. Yes, I want to go to Kansai. I want to live in Osaka. Yes, I want to go and live in Okinawa because there's a big American population there, or something like that. But as much as those are big cities, not everyone can get into those cities as well, and you're placed along Japan in many, many other places as well. But being able to back up, like, this is why this is my first choice. This is why this is my second choice. This is why this is my third choice. For me, it tended to be that I have friends that live around there, so it'd be
Hmm.
nice to have some familiarity and some support in these places if I was placed in this area.
Okay, I think that's a really good tip, especially just like being able to back up what you said in your statement and in your
Hmm.
application. Yeah, that's and also being adaptable, like you said, if they give you some kind of role player scenario, you have to you have to be adaptable and think quickly on your feet, or else
Yeah,
you can't be like a deer in front of headlights, just like
yeah.
or at
So
least you shouldn't be like that.
yeah, it shouldn't be that like that because if you come to Japan, and that's the first way you react. It's going to be a little bit tough for you. But definitely, I also say be friendly, be yourself. But definitely, like I said earlier, think your answers through thoroughly. Because if you say something that maybe you're just like, oh man, I'm just gonna BS my way out of this answer, they might ask you to elaborate on that or
Mm.
role play that situation. How would you react?
So always be prepared. Try to be
Yeah.
prepared. Fair enough there. And I'm curious, like for the initial interview, then,
Mhm.
what would you suggest in order to make like a fantastic first impression on your panel of interviewers?
Panel of interviewers. Hmm. So for the panel of interviewers, you don't really quite get too much time with them, but I would say, come dressed prepared, wear a nice suit. I mean, I I wouldn't go quite over the top, but like at least know what Japanese business dress is like. So, always try to have like maybe a white shirt, blue shirt, tie, blazer. Dress pants if you're guys, maybe a black skirt or something like that if you were a female. Try to do something like that. I think that's important. Looking the part is the most important.
Okay.
Being friendly as well.
Yeah.
Being able to show that you're not going to be this strict teacher that is just going to be yelling at these students that they don't understand. Showing what kind of person you're going to be if you do get the job. Acting the part.
Okay, fair enough. So I'd like when you say like acting the part, especially when you want to make a good first impression. So would you say like, for example, wearing a Simpson tie, would that be out of the question, or would you think you should be more formal first, then after you get to Japan, you can kind of maybe have more leeway in what you can wear?
I would say, be a little bit more conservative on that first thing. I would treat it just like any other job interview. Like, if you think that this wouldn't be a proper fit for a job
Yeah.
interview in your home country, then that's probably not going to be the right choice for you to take to your jet interview.
Okay, that's fair enough there. And then for yourself then, once you actually came to Japan, once you actually knew your placement and you flew from the
Hmm.
States all the way to Japan,
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you give someone who wants to make a good impression on their schools?
Wanting to make a good impression on your school. I would say definitely bring some gifts as a show of good faith between you, because you are now officially a liaison between your home country and Japan. So definitely bring some gifts. I would say anything that's really indicative of your home country, or if you're in the United States, your home state, especially if it's written on there. So like things like little pins or badges, pens. But I think the best thing that you can possibly do is bring individually wrapped sweets.
Okay.
So I think if you can bring enough for your whole entire school staff, it's really tough because you don't really know how many you're going to have. For me, like across my 3 elementary schools
Yeah.
and my junior high school, that's almost close to about, I want to say close to 140 people.
Oh wow.
So I tried to bring as much as I could, but if not, then bring some at least for your principal and your vice principal. And if you can, if you can fit it in your luggage, and if it's something that's
Yeah.
cheap enough within your budget, maybe bring some stuff for the students too. Maybe not sweets. I don't think they really allow you to give out desserts and like sweets and stuff like that, foods to the students. But even like a little pencil or something like that would be.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, something indicative of your home country or your home state. For me, I brought a lot of Ghirardelli chocolate because I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. So I was like, that sounded
Nice.
like a good idea, or at least something that that they're not able to get here.
Yeah.
So like sometimes like some sour sweets. I brought like sour punch straws, and some of the teachers really like that.
Ah, that's great.
Um, but yeah, definitely bring a gift. I think that's one of the easiest way to break the ice, because they're gonna have to come to you early and be like, later, a little bit later on, be like, thank you for that, I appreciate it, and it gives you a chance to open up with some conversation.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
the next thing I would probably say is number two is be willing to learn, because I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of cultural faux pas that you're
Ah,
not
yeah.
familiar with. Just give a quick sumimasen or I'm sorry, then show your willingness to correct it in the future, and it's your chance to kind of learn about the school, the students, and the culture. So just being able to show that you're willing to learn, you're willing to make mistakes.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like being willing to like make mistakes and admit that you're wrong. I think basically being humble is very important too. So that's a really good point.
And then number three, to make a good impression, I'd say try not to be a stranger. Like, I know it's going to be really awkward. Likely just as awkward for the teachers. It's going to be very hard for some of them to approach you by themselves. So you really have to make that first push to be like, all right, I'm going to be the friendly guy. I'm going to go
Yeah.
and introduce myself to these teachers, because sometimes when you get there, that is your opportunity to kind of introduce yourself, because you might miss out on that chance. It might be a little bit more awkward down the line to try to introduce yourself to all these people, and you're like,
I
I don't
see.
know this person's name. um, but yeah, as an ALT, you're gonna be really out of place, one, culturally, and two, in terms of your job, because you're not a
Mm.
full-time teacher there. But I think it's most important to show that you want to be a part of the community. So making the most out of your break time to talk with the teachers, with students, your vice principal, your principal, go out and play with the students, joining in on meetings or school events, just showing that you want to, incorporate yourself more into the school life, and you're not just there as this one person that teaches English, you know, during these class times, and then the rest of the time it's just like, I'm just going to shut down and be in my box at my desk.
Yeah, you want to give back a little bit more to your schools, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and show that you actually care and that you actually want to establish some kind of relationship with them. But I think, like you said before, it's really important to know your limits at the same time.
Hmm.
Because I know a lot of the teachers, they have meetings till like 8 or 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you don't want to get burned out, it's okay to say no and to know when your mental health might take a hit because of working all these long hours.
Hmm.
So I guess it's about striking that balance then.
Yes, it is about striking the balance, but when you first get into school, I think it's really important that you do want to show at least, or at least give them the idea that you do want to be there and you do want to do your best. I think that's the important thing, is
Oh
showing
yeah.
that you want to make an impact some way on the school. You're not just going to be that person that just shows up there for work and a paycheck.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean,
I
you can go and like tone it down a little bit as it goes on, but
yeah.
just be very, very thankful and be very happy that you're there. I think is the important thing that you show to your school.
Yeah, exactly. I think a really good way and a very easy way to kind of like show that you want to do more for your school is to attend like all the assemblies that they have during the year, opening ceremony, closing ceremonies. Those are really easy and very simple ways to show
Hmm.
that, hey, you know what? I care about the school. I care about the students. I care about this community.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you get a chance to participate in their sports day. I think
Oh,
that's also a
yes.
great way too. I mean, like, honestly, all you have to do is just kind of stand there, watch them. Maybe you might be, coaxed into running with them or something like that, for like, or doing some tug of war or something. But I think it's a very, very nice opportunity for you to go out there and just kind of like cheer them on. I think that they'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I am curious though, because I know you have multiple schools. You have was
Hmm.
it 3 or 4 elementary schools?
I have three elementary schools and one junior high.
I'm curious, like for sports day, especially for the elementary schools, do you find that they're usually all on the same day or are they on different days for you?
So since I'm in the same area, so like all of mine
Yeah.
basically filter into one junior high school. All of their events tend to be on the same day. So at least for the elementary school, they tend to be on the same day. For the junior high school, it tends to be maybe off by one day or a week
Oh,
or
that's
something like
true.
that.
I think at least for the junior high school, you can attend that as well. It's kind of separate. But
Hmm.
if for the elementary school, if, for example, like you were saying before, if the sports days are all on the same day,
Hmm.
do you kind of just like travel to each different school, or how do you choose which school to go to?
It really depends. Like, I tend to just give priority to whoever asked me first. I'm just like, oh, they show that they want me there, so I'm going to show that I want to be there for you too. So if you ask me first, I'm going to be like, I'm going to tell my boss, yep, I'm going to that one because they asked me first. Sorry, you have me scheduled for this one, but they asked me first, so I want to go to this one.
Okay.
Hopefully your board of education or whoever's overseeing you
Yeah.
would be kind enough to let you do that and make your choice. But sometimes it's already pre-decided for you and be like, this is the school you're going to go to for your sports day.
Okay. See, so it might already be on your schedule as well.
Yes.
That I imagine that makes it a lot easier too.
It's like, sorry, I'm already booked for this day. I have no choice.
Yeah, I have to do it. The big guy upstairs says I have to do it. So yeah. No, but thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, Michael.
No
And
problem. I'm glad I could answer any questions. If you
and
have any other questions.
yeah, actually, just very quickly, if it's okay with you, just want to do a quick speed round. So
Okay,
I'm going to
sure.
ask you random questions. So if you could just say the first thing that comes to your mind, that would be
All right,
fantastic.
I'll do my best.
Okay, are you
You
ready?
promised me no trick questions.
No, I swear.
All right,
No gotcha
let's go.
questions. All right.
All right,
Okay, so favorite Japanese food,
sushi.
favorite actor.
Don't have one.
Oh, really?
Sorry, I don't have one.
Just like all of them. That's fine. Share the love equally. I get it. Okay, how about favorite singer?
Bruno Mars.
Oh, nice. That's a good choice. And natto or miso soup?
Miso soup.
And favorite place in Japan?
Kinkakuji.
Oh, that's a good choice. Nice. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, Michael. It's always nice talking with you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. I hope you enjoy your spring break, and thank you very much for inviting me. I'm glad I could answer all your questions, and I look forward to hanging out with you again very, very soon.
Same here, man. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later, okay?
All right, talk to you later.
Alright, so let me know in the comment section down below what your number one worry is about when you're applying for the JET program, and also let me know what you think the number one quality you need to have as a JET is. Let me know in the comment section down below. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this every single week. And until next time, everyone, stay waku waku.